Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've been looking over the YAR Sports Network Week 6 recap material.
And wow,
Yeah, wow is a good word for it. It's less of a recap and more like an earthquake assessment, really.
absolutely. The rankings didn't just shift, they completely fractured.
So that's our mission today, right? We're going to cut through all that noise, try to distill what happened in these huge upsets.
And really get into the why behind the magnitude of these changes. I mean, some of these drops are just huge.
Huge. And yet, somehow, through all of this chaos, one thing stayed constant.
Texas A&M.
Still at number 1. Rock solid. That's maybe the only thing that kept the whole top 25 from just, dissolving into anarchy.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And their position, especially after the statement they made, it just highlights how badly the teams right behind them failed.
Okay, so before we get to the teams that just cratered, we have to talk about the individual performances.
Oh, for sure. Because some of this was just driven by sheer individual brilliance.
Hands down, the offensive star of the week had to be Noah Whittington from Oregon.
I mean, it wasn't just a star performance. The guy broke records. He ran for an absolutely staggering 300 yards.
300 yards. And what was it, 4 touchdowns?
4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That kind of performance doesn't just get you attention, it demands it.
And it was critical, too. They needed it to handle South Carolina.
Right, they won that game 45-28, and you can draw a straight line from Whittington's historic day to Oregon, jumping from 13 up to number 10.
That's a perfect example, isn't it? One guy's excellence just lifts the whole program's credibility.
Exactly. And then on the defensive side, you have a similar story with Ellis Robinson, the vet from Georgia.
His stat line is just ridiculous for a defensive back.
It's completely absurd. 8 tackles, which is a ton for a corner.
And 2 interceptions.
2 picks, and he even scored a touchdown himself. That's a guy who isn't just stopping the other team, he's putting points on the board.
So when you have players doing that on both sides of the ball, you know it was a wild week. Which I guess brings us to the flip side of this.
The collective failures. This is where it gets really interesting. Because the rankings, they're a zero-sum game. The collateral damage was historic.
Okay, let's just start at the very top. Texas Tech, sitting at number 2.
Seemingly coasting?
And now, they're down to number 8. 8! That's a 6-spot plunge. That is just gut-wrenching.
And it's tied directly to that loss to Miami, the 45-42 game.
The sources called it a thriller.
Yeah, a thriller for Miami, maybe? For Texas Tech, it was a disaster. When you're ranked number 2, you can't lose a close one. The penalty is just crushing.
It basically boots them from the playoff bye-week conversation.
Instantly. Their whole season just got a lot harder.
And their rival, Texas, had almost the same thing happen. They went from number 3 all the way down to 11.
Out of the top 10. Completely.
So what was the issue there? Was it just the loss?
It was the way they lost, the margin. First, it's a rivalry game against number 1 Texas A&M. Second, look at the score. A&M won 56-24. They didn't just win, they made a statement.
A 32-point loss?
Yeah, the voters are not going to forgive that.
Never. That score shatters your credentials. It tells the voters you weren't just beaten, you didn't belong on the same field.
And the carnage just kept going. Auburn was at 8, now they're down at 17.
A 9-spot drop, that's a free fall.
And that was the Ohio State game.
Yep, Ohio State took them down 38-21. You just can't survive a loss like that when everyone around you is winning.
But I think the most brutal loss of the week has to go to Colorado.
Oh, without a doubt. They fell from 12 to 19, and if you think the Texas loss was bad,
The score tells the whole story here.
it really does. Notre Dame beat them 73-13.
73-13. Okay, that's not a football game. That's a data point.
It's a data point screaming that Colorado was completely overrated. The voters didn't just drop them, they ejected them down the list.
And Iowa just barely hung on, falling from 19 to 25. So the voters just demanded perfection. They did. And when Tech and Texas failed, it left this huge power vacuum at the top.
So let's flip it. Who benefited from all this chaos?
Well, what's so fascinating is you see this new top tier just form instantly. Number 2 and 3 basically self-destruct.
And other teams were just ready to slide right in.
Exactly. You saw Penn State go from 4 to 2, Georgia Tech from 5 to 3.
And they didn't even have to beat anyone spectacular. They just had to win their game.
Just hold serve. LSU also climbed from 6 to 4, and Georgia moved up from 7 to 5. The entire top 5, besides A&M, is totally different.
But I think the biggest jumper near the top has to be Miami.
For sure. They're the ones who caused the chaos.
That thrilling win over Texas Tech.
Propelled them 5 spots, from number 11 all the way to 6.
Wow.
The voters saw them beat the number 2 team, and they basically said, okay, you can have their credentials. Miami essentially inherited that ranking.
So let's look a little further down the list. The real double-digit climbers,
This is where you see some really dramatic moves.
like Indiana. I mean, this leap is just shocking. From 23 all the way to 13.
A 10-spot jump.
How did they pull that off?
They earned it. They beat Ole Miss 31-28. When you take down a ranked opponent from that far down the list, you force the voters to completely reevaluate you.
It's like a market correction.
That's what the YAR analysts called it, a voter reset. They were saying Indiana was underranked to begin with.
Incredible. And then you have Alabama also making a huge jump from 24 to 15.
Yep, a 9-spot gain. And Tennessee moved from 17 up to 12. The whole middle of the pack just shot upwards.
And we have to mention Notre Dame again.
Right, after that 73-13 win, they moved 1 spot from 10 to 9.
Wait, only 1 spot for a 60-point win.
I know, it kind of makes you wonder, are the voters sleeping on Notre Dame, or is the rest of the top 10 just that strong?
That's a great question. It suggests that even that massive win wasn't enough to displace teams like Georgia or LSU.
It shows how stubborn the top of the rankings can be. But that brings us to the most confusing result of the week.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. They lose to Indiana 31-28.
And they move up a spot from 15 to 14. How does a loss make you go up in the rankings?
It seems to defy logic, but it's all about the perceived quality of their loss.
Okay, explain that.
They lost a competitive game, a 3-point game, to a team that is now ranked 13th. Compare that to Auburn getting beat by 17 or Colorado getting beat by 60.
So a good loss is better than a bad loss.
Far better. The voters punished the non-competitive teams far more severely. By comparison, Ole Miss's stock actually rose because they at least kept it close while others just collapsed.
That voter psychology is what makes this so fascinating. Okay, so that brings us to the last piece of this puzzle, the new blood.
Right. With so many teams falling, it created a ton of vacancies in the top 25.
The door just got ripped wide open.
6 new teams cracked the rankings this week. 6. That is a staggering number for this late in EC.
All right, let's welcome the new class. Who's in?
Kicking it off, Missouri enters at number 18. And they earned it with a huge 45-14 win over Arizona State.
Another statement win.
Exactly. Then you've got Clemson coming in at 20, and Florida lands at 21.
And Florida also had a solid win right over Washington.
A very solid win, 49-14. When voters see you winning by 35 points, it gives them the confidence to rank you.
Okay, who else?
And rounding it out, SMU enters at 22, Kansas State is now 23, and Rutgers grabs the 24th spot.
So 6 new teams. That means nearly a quarter of the top 25 is brand new this week.
Total turnover.
So when you put it all together, what does this mean? We've got the individual stars, the fall of 2 top 3 teams, 6 new teams showing up.
It's a complete narrative reset for the entire season. Week 6 just changed everything.
It's not just about who's in the top 5 anymore.
No, it's about how deep the field of contenders might be now. A game like Miami, Texas Tech or A&M, Texas,
Yeah.
it could redefine the whole national conversation. The margin for error is gone.
And the penalty for failure is instant banishment from the top tier.
Precisely. And that leads to the most important question for you, the listener, to think about going into Week 7. Given this sudden influx of 6 new teams, what does it suggest about all the teams just bubbling under the surface?
Are these new teams, Missouri, Clemson, Florida, are they legitimate, sustainable contenders?
Or are they just temporary occupants of spots that were vacated by the historic failure of others? Is this real parity, or is it just a side effect of the chaos?
That volatility is the story to watch. That's the question we'll be following. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Week 6 chaos.
We'll see you next time.